The sky above the Velen capital burned red and orange. High Counselor Nethera stood at the window of the emergency command center, watching her world die. Explosions bloomed across the city like deadly flowers. Each flash meant hundreds of her people were gone. "Any response from the Galactic Council?" she asked without turning around. Her aide checked the display again. His hands shook. "No, Counselor. The Tertian Empire sent regrets. The Movari Union cited trade concerns. The Bright Assembly offered prayers but no ships." Nethera closed her eyes. Prayers. Her people were burning, and the galaxy offered prayers. The Krathic swarm had arrived 3 days ago. Their fleet had blocked out the stars. The Velen Defense Force, designed for peacekeeping and exploration, lasted 6 hours. Now the insect-like aliens moved through the cities, killing everything that breathed. The Velens were not warriors. They never had been. In 8,000 years of civilization, they had fought 3 minor wars, all ended through diplomacy within weeks. The Krathic did not negotiate. "Counselor," her aide said quietly, "there is one response. From a species called humans. The database has limited information. They are not part of the major powers." "What do they say?" "Just 4 words. "We hear you, coming." Nethera turned to look at him. "That is all?" "Yes, Counselor. Their ships entered our system 20 minutes ago." Hope flickered in her chest, small and fragile. "How many ships?" 12 vessels, frigate class mostly. 1 larger command ship. The Hope died. 12 ships. The Krathic had brought 300. "Tell them we are grateful," she said tiredly. "But they should save themselves. There is nothing they can do here. They are already deploying to orbit, Counselor. They say they are ready to assist." Nethera returned to the window. In the distance, another section of the city collapsed under Krathic bombardment. 12 ships. She supposed even a small gesture of solidarity meant something. At least someone in the galaxy had answered. Liaison Officer Velrus stood in the docking bay and tried not to show his fear. He was young for a diplomatic posting, only 30 cycles old. He had trained for negotiations and cultural exchange. Not this. Not war. The human ship had docked 15 minutes ago. Through the airlock walked 5 figures in dark uniforms. They moved with purpose, not hurrying but not wasting time. Their equipment looked old but well-maintained. Everything was functional, nothing decorative. The first human through was tall and broad-shouldered. His face was lined, his hair gray at the temples. He looked tired in a way that went deeper than sleep. Behind him came a woman with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Then 3 others, each carrying themselves like they expected danger around every corner. "I am Liaison Officer Velrus," he began, trying to remember the greeting protocols. "On behalf of the Velen Confederacy, I welcome Commander Teho," the first human said, cutting him off gently. "This is Captain Jihai, Lieutenant Hyunwoo, Sergeant Sunmi, and Dr. Yunji. We need tactical information immediately. Where are your forces? Where are the enemy positions? What is your civilian evacuation status?" Velrus blinked at the rapid questions. I can arrange a briefing with our military command." "If you would follow me to—" "We are following you," Captain Jihai said. "Brief us while we walk. Time matters." They started moving. Velrus noticed how the humans walked in a loose formation, always aware of each other's positions. The woman called Sunmi kept scanning corners and doorways. These people expected ambush even in a friendly station. "The Krathic control 70% of the capital," Velrus explained as they walked. "Our forces are scattered. We have 3 strongholds holding but losing ground. Civilian casualties are in the millions. We have nowhere safe to evacuate them." "Your military command structure?" Teho asked. "General Torvain coordinates from the secondary command post. He reports directly to High Counselor Nethera." "What combat experience does your general have?" Velrus hesitated. "General Torvain has served for 40 years in ceremonial and peacekeeping roles. He has studied military history extensively." The humans exchanged glances. Something passed between them without words. "So he has never fought a real war," Lieutenant Hyunwoo said quietly. "We are a peaceful people," Velrus said, hearing the defensive tone in his own voice. "We have not needed to. You need to now," Dr. Yunji said. Her voice was not unkind, just factual. "We will help. That is why we came." They entered the command center. General Torvain stood at the central display, studying the tactical map. He was older than Velrus, with ceremonial medals across his chest. He looked every part the distinguished military leader, but Velrus saw the strain in his eyes, the way his hands gripped the table edge. General Torvain, Velrus said. The human representatives have arrived. Torvain straightened, relief crossing his face. Thank the light. Welcome, friends. We are grateful for any assistance you can provide. If you could coordinate with our remaining fleet, perhaps establish a supply line to— We are not staying in orbit, Tejo said. We are going to the surface. Give us enemy positions and we will deploy immediately. Torvain stared. The surface is a war zone. Our best soldiers are barely holding their positions. I cannot ask you to— You are not asking, Captain Jihai said. She studied the tactical display with professional interest. We are offering. This is what we do. But there are only 12 ships, Torvain said. Perhaps 2,000 soldiers total. The Krethic have deployed over 50,000 ground forces. They have biological weapons, armored units, air support. Our own forces had superior numbers initially, and they overwhelmed us in hours. We have seen worse, Tejo said simply. Velrus watched General Torvain process this. The human commander said it without pride or bravado, just stating a fact. Velrus felt a chill that had nothing to do with the temperature. I must know, Torvain said carefully. What combat experience do your forces have? All of us? Sergeant Sunmi spoke for the first time. Her voice was rough like old stone. Or just those of us in this room? I suppose. All of you? Every human on those ships has fought in at least 3 major conflicts, Tejo said. Most have fought in 5 or more. We pulled veterans from 7 different active war zones to assemble this force. The youngest soldier in my command is 22 years old. He has been fighting for 4 years. The command center went silent. Velrus did the mathematics in his head. These people had been at war continuously. Some of them had never known peace. What kind of world produces such warriors? Torvain asked quietly. Earth, Dr. Yunji said. She pulled up a data file on her portable display. Would you like to see? The file opened. Velrus watched images flash across the screen. A planet of blues and greens, beautiful but wild. Massive storms that could level cities. Temperature ranges that swung from killing heat to lethal cold. Volcanoes, earthquakes, tsunamis. And predators. So many predators. Your planet tried to kill you, Velrus whispered. Every single day, Yunji said. For millions of years. Everything on Earth evolved to survive by being tougher, faster or smarter than everything trying to eat it. Humans survived by being all 3. But this, Torvain gestured at the display. This shows natural disasters, environmental challenges. What about your military experience? Captain Jihai pulled up another file. Velrus felt his stomach turn as new images appeared. Battlefields stretching to the horizon, cities reduced to rubble, lists of casualties that numbered in the millions. Weapons designed to kill on scales he could barely comprehend. Humans have been at war with each other for our entire recorded history, Jihai said, her voice flat. We have killed more of our own species than any external threat ever could. We have fought over territory, resources, beliefs, insults. We developed weapons that could sterilize our entire planet. We came very close to using them. You fought yourselves? Velrus could not hide his horror. Your own kind? Many times, Lieutenant Hyunwoo said. We are still doing it. Earth has 60 active war zones right now. Humans killing humans. We cannot seem to stop. Then why? Torvain struggled with the words. Why would we want your help? If you are so violent, so destructive, because we know how to survive violence, Tejo said quietly. Because we have learned every lesson war can teach. Learned it in blood and death and loss. Because when we heard your call for help, we remembered what it feels like to watch your people die while the powerful do nothing. He met Torvain's eyes. We are not here to conquer you or corrupt you. We are here because we heard you screaming and we cannot bear to hear it anymore. The silence stretched. Finally, Nethera spoke from the doorway. Velrus had not heard her enter. Can you save us? The High Counselor asked. Truly? Yes, Tejo said without hesitation. But you will not like what we have to do, or what we have to teach you. War is ugly. Survival is uglier. We will show you both. Nethera looked at her burning world through the window. She looked at the Krethic markers advancing on the tactical display. She looked at the few thousand human soldiers who had come when empires with millions refused. Then show us, she said. Teach us to survive, Tejo nodded once. The drop pod shook violently as it cut through the atmosphere. Velrus gripped his restraints and tried not to vomit. Across from him, Lieutenant Hyunwoo sat relaxed, eyes closed. The young human looked barely older than Velrus himself, but his face held lines that came from years, not age. "First combat drop?" Hyunwoo asked without opening his eyes. "Yes," Velrus managed. "Is it always this bad?" "This is nothing. Wait until they start shooting at us." The pod slammed into the ground. The impact drove the air from Velrus's lungs. Before he could recover, the doors blew open and humans poured out, weapons ready. Hyunwoo grabbed Velrus's arm and pulled him into the ruins of what had been a residential district. The city looked like something from a nightmare. Buildings collapsed into streets. Fires burned everywhere. Bodies lay where they had fallen. Velrus saw Velan civilians, Krethic soldiers, the wreckage of both species' attempts to kill each other. "Stay close," Hyunwoo said. "Stay low. Do not run unless I tell you to run." 12 human soldiers moved through the rubble like ghosts. They used hand signals instead of speech. They checked corners before crossing open ground. They moved from cover to cover, never exposing themselves unnecessarily. Velrus tried to copy them but felt clumsy and obvious. A clicking sound echoed through the ruins. The humans froze instantly. Velrus froze too, not knowing why, but understanding that silence meant survival. 3 Krethic soldiers appeared ahead, their insect bodies moving on multiple legs. They carried weapons integrated into their carapaces. They were searching the ruins, hunting for survivors to kill. Sergeant Sunmi appeared on a rooftop Velrus had not seen her climb. She fired 3 times. 3 Krethic fell. The sound of gunfire echoed and died. The humans moved forward without pause. "How did she?" Velrus started to ask. "Later," Hyunwoo said. "Move." They advanced deeper into the city. Velrus began to understand the human tactics. They never attacked head-on. They used buildings for cover. Moved through areas the Krethic thought were impassable. When they killed from unexpected angles. The Krethic had superior numbers and weapons, but the humans fought like they were part of the ruins themselves. "Contact," one soldier whispered urgently. The squad melted into defensive positions. Velrus found himself pressed against a wall next to Hyunwoo. Ahead, a Krethic patrol was setting up what looked like a biological weapon launcher. "That is a spore cannon," Velrus whispered. "It releases toxins that dissolve organic tissue. 1 canister can kill everyone in a 3-block radius." "Range?" Hyunwoo asked. 800 meters when deployed. "Current range to target?" "Maybe 200 meters." Hyunwoo spoke into his radio, too quiet for Velrus to hear. 30 seconds later, Sunmi's voice came back. "Clear shot on the weapon. No shot on the operators." "Take the weapon," Hyunwoo said. "We will handle the operators," Sunmi fired. The spore cannon exploded, the canister rupturing harmlessly in the open air. The Krethic patrol scattered in confusion. That was when the humans attacked. It was not like battles Velrus had seen in simulations. There was no honor, no fairness. The humans hit from 3 sides at once. They used grenades to flush Krethic into killing zones. They shot wounded enemies without hesitation. It was over in less than a minute. 15 Krethic dead. 0 human casualties. 1 Krethic survived, badly wounded. It made clicking sounds that Velrus's translator interpreted as pleas for mercy. Lieutenant Hyunwoo walked over to it and fired a single shot to its head. "Why?" Velrus demanded, horrified. "It was defenseless. It could have given us information." Hyunwoo reloaded his weapon without looking at Velrus. That Krethic would have required a guard. "Medical treatment. Food and water. Resources we need to save your civilians. Every resource we waste on prisoners is a resource we cannot use to protect innocent people." He finally met Velrus's eyes. "This is what war actually looks like. You wanted us to save you. This is how we save you." They moved on. Velrus followed, feeling sick. These humans fought without mercy or hesitation. They killed efficiently and moved to the next target. But he noticed other things too. When they found Velan civilians hiding in a basement, the humans immediately shifted to protection mode. Hyunwoo was gentle with frightened children. Sunmi shared her rations with a wounded elder. The same soldiers who killed without emotion showed deep care for the innocent. Dr. Yoonji's field hospital was set up in what had been a school. Wounded Velans and humans lay on makeshift beds. The doctor moved between them with calm efficiency, treating the most critical cases first. A Velan medic named Terrell watched her work with growing horror and respect. "How do you decide?" he asked. "That one you spent 20 minutes saving. That one you gave pain medication and moved on." They were equally wounded. Yoonji finished bandaging a human soldier's leg wound. "The first one had damage I could fix. He will return to duty in a week. The second one had damage that would take hours to treat if I could fix it at all. In those hours, I can save 6 other soldiers. So I make him comfortable and save the 6. But you are letting him die. I am letting him die because trying to save him would kill 6 others. Yunji's voice remained calm. I have made this choice 10,000 times. Maybe more. I stopped counting years ago. She looked at the young Velen medic. You wanted our help. You wanted us to win your war. This is what winning costs. Every resource has a price. Every choice means someone lives and someone dies. We just admit it instead of pretending otherwise. Torel looked around the field hospital. Every human medic worked with the same cold efficiency. They saved who they could save. They comforted those they could not. They did not waste time on false hope or gentle lies. Does it get easier? Torel asked quietly. No, Yunji said. You just learn to carry it better. We have support systems on Earth. Therapy, counseling, traditions for processing trauma. Because humans have needed them for thousands of years. You will need them too after this. A wounded human soldier was brought in coughing blood. Yunji examined him quickly. Punctured lung. Toxin exposure. Get me the thoracic kit. She worked for 15 minutes, her hands steady. The soldier survived. He would recover. As she finished, she paused, closed her eyes for 3 seconds, then moved to the next patient. Torel realized she was counting. Counting lives saved, or maybe counting lives lost. He could not tell which. Commander Tejo stood in what had been the Velen military headquarters before the Krethic destroyed it. Now it was Human Forward Command. Captain Jihai pointed at the tactical display, showing red markers for enemy positions. They have reinforced here and here, she said. Standard swarm doctrine. Mass their forces and overwhelm defensive positions through sheer numbers. General Torvain studied the display. The Krethic held key strategic points. Breaking them would cost thousands of lives in a direct assault. We do not have the forces to dislodge them, he said quietly. We do not need to dislodge them, Jihai said. We need to make them think we are going to dislodge them. I do not understand. Watch. Jihai manipulated the display. We stage here. Make obvious preparations for assault. The Krethic see it and reinforce their positions, pulling troops from other areas. Then we hit them here where they weakened. We use their doctrine against them. But our soldiers at the staging area will be exposed, Torvain protested. The Krethic will bombard them. Yes, Jihai said simply. That is why we use Velen forces for the staging. Human forces for the actual assault. Torvain stared at her. You want to use my soldiers as bait? Let them die to distract the enemy? I want to save 15,000 civilians trapped in the Eastern District. To do that, we need to draw Krethic forces away. Your soldiers in the staging area will take casualties, maybe 20%. But if we do not draw the Krethic away, all 15,000 civilians die. You tell me which choice is better. Torvain looked at Tejo. The human commander's face showed nothing. Is this how humans always fight? Torvain asked. Yes, Tejo said. We calculate. We make the choice that saves the most lives even when it feels wrong, even when it costs us pieces of our humanity. Because the alternative is letting everyone die while we protect our moral purity. Torvain thought of the 15,000 civilians. He thought of the soldiers he would be sending to dangerous positions. He thought of the weight Tejo carried, making these choices over and over for decades. Do it, he said finally. Coordinate with my officers. I will tell the families of those we sacrifice. No, Tejo said. I will tell them. I make the choice, I deliver the news. That is how leadership works. You do not hide from the costs of your decisions. They executed the plan 3 hours later. The staging force took heavy fire. 23 Velen soldiers died, but the Eastern District was liberated. 15,000 civilians were evacuated to safety. The mathematics said it was a victory. Tejo spent the evening visiting the families of the dead. He explained each decision. He did not hide behind strategy or necessity. He told them their loved ones died because he chose to spend their lives for others. Some families forgave him, some did not. He accepted both with equal quiet. Velrus watched from a distance. He saw the weight accumulate on Tejo's shoulders, adding to weight that was already there. The Krethic command vessel processed battle reports with growing concern. Their swarm tactics had conquered 47 systems. They had overwhelmed species with superior technology and greater numbers. But the humans were different. A tactical analyst presented findings to the swarm commander. The Deathworld species fights unlike any force we have encountered. They do not mass their troops. They do not hold territory. They strike and vanish. They turn our strengths into weaknesses. They are few. The swarm commander clicked. We are many. Deploy elite shock troops. Crush them through overwhelming force. The order went out. 3,000 Krethic elite warriors moved toward human positions with heavy weapons and armor. They were the best the swarm had. They had never failed. They walked into a killing ground. Captain Ji-Hai had studied Krethic psychology for 3 days. She understood how they thought, how they fought. When the elite force committed to the attack, she sprang the trap. Human forces were not where the Krethic expected. They were in buildings the Krethic had marked as collapsed. They were underground in tunnels the Krethic thought were flooded. They were in positions no rational military would choose because humans had long ago learned that rational tactics got you killed. The elite force died in 20 minutes. 700 survivors fled, broadcasting terror across Krethic communication networks. For the first time in the swarm's expansion, their soldiers feared the enemy more than they feared their commanders. Velrus watched the battle from the command center. General Torvain stood beside him, his face pale. They are not fighting a war, Torvain said quietly. They are hunting. It was true. The humans moved like predators. They studied their prey, learned its patterns, then struck at its weakest points. Sergeant Sunmi's sniper teams eliminated Krethic officers, throwing enemy forces into confusion. Lieutenant Hyunwoo's squads used psychological warfare, leaving evidence of human presence everywhere but never where expected. The Krethic started seeing humans in every shadow. Your species evolved as hunters, Torvain said to Commander Taeho. That is what the biology reports say. Endurance hunters. You would chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. Yes, Taeho said. We ran animals to death over days and weeks. We learned patience. We learned to read tracks, predict behavior, set traps. Then we turned those skills on each other. He looked at Torvain. We have been hunting the most dangerous prey in the galaxy for 10,000 years. Other humans. The Krethic are insects compared to that. A new report came in. Krethic forces were abandoning positions they had held for days. They were retreating to more defensible areas, consolidating their forces. They are afraid, Ji-Hai said with satisfaction. Good, fear kills more enemies than bullets. Is that really true? Velrus asked. I have seen entire armies collapse because they were afraid, Ji-Hai said. Fear makes you hesitate, makes you doubt, makes mistakes. We learned this breaking each other for thousands of years. Now we use it to break them. She brought up audio files on the display. Listen. Krethic communications played across the speakers. Velrus's translator struggled with the clicking and chittering, but the meaning came through. Panic, confusion, reports of humans appearing in impossible locations, descriptions of human endurance that seemed supernatural, fear spreading through the swarm like poison. We have not just defeated them militarily, Taeho explained. We have broken their confidence, made them doubt their superiority, shown them they are not the apex predators they thought they were. That is the true weapon. Everything else is just method. Torvain pulled up historical files about Earth. He had been studying human warfare, trying to understand. What he found horrified him. The world wars, the regional conflicts, weapons that could end all life. Billions dead over millennia, and yet humans still existed, still fought, still found new ways to kill each other. Why? He asked. Why do you keep fighting? Why not find peace? We try, Taeho said quietly. We have tried for thousands of years. Sometimes we succeed for a generation or two, but something always breaks the peace. Resources, beliefs, fear, pride, and we go back to war. He paused. That is why we came here. Every human on these ships volunteered. We fight your war because maybe, just maybe, if we can save someone else, it means our experience was not wasted. It means all that death taught us something useful. Redemption, Velrus said softly. Maybe, Taeho said. Or maybe we just cannot watch others suffer what we have suffered. I do not know anymore. Dr. Unji found High Counselor Nathara in the observation room overlooking the field hospital. The elderly Velen leader looked exhausted, older than her years. You have been reading Earth's history, Unji said. It was not a question. Yes, Nathara admitted. I had to understand. I had to know what kind of species we invited into our world. And what did you learn? That humans are the most violent species in known space. That you have killed more of your own kind than any external threat could manage. That you developed weapons so terrible you nearly exterminated yourselves. Nethera turned to face the doctor. That you are still fighting each other right now while you are here helping us. All true, Yunji said calmly. Then why should we trust you? How do we know you will not turn on us once the Krethik are defeated? Yunji was quiet for a moment. May I show you something? She pulled up images on her portable device. Photographs of young soldiers none older than 30. Smiling faces and peaceful moments. This was my first unit. I served with them in the Arctic conflict. 80 soldiers. These are the 20 who survived. She changed the image. This is from the Desert Campaign. 60 soldiers. 12 survivors, another image. Pacific Theater. 90 soldiers. 8 survivors. Nethera looked at the faces. So young. So few survivors. Every human in this fleet has photographs like these, Yunji continued. Everyone we loved. Everyone we served with, most of them are dead. We carry them with us. We remember their names. And we made a choice. We can let our trauma make us cruel, or we can use our experience to protect others from learning what we learned. That does not answer my question. You have saved us, but what prevents you from conquering us? Nothing, Yunji said honestly. If humans wanted to conquer you, we could. You know that now. You have seen what we can do. She met Nethera's eyes. But we do not want conquerors. We want to be worth something. We want our skills, all these terrible skills we learned through suffering, to mean something good. Saving you means we are not just killers. It means we can build instead of destroy. Nethera understood then. The humans were not here to conquer. They were here to prove to themselves that they were more than their worst capabilities. You are trying to save yourselves, she said. Yes, Yunji admitted. We save you and maybe we save ourselves. Maybe we find redemption. Or maybe we just sleep a little better knowing our knowledge of death preserved life for once. Lieutenant Hyunwoo sat in the ruins, taking a rare moment of rest. Velrus found him there staring at nothing. You are young, Velrus said, sitting carefully. Younger than me, I think. But you fight like you have been at war for decades. I have been, Hyunwoo said. Since I was 18. 6 years now. Feels like 60. What was your first battle? Pacific Theater. My unit was ambushed. I watched my friends die. 40 soldiers. I was one of 3 who survived. His voice was flat, emotionless. I learned fast that hesitation kills. That mercy to enemies is cruelty to friends. That war does not care about your feelings or your morals. You win or you die. But you are so young to carry such weight. On Earth, I am old for a combat veteran. Most soldiers burn out in 3 years, 4 if they are strong. I'm on year 6. I do not know how much longer I can do this. He looked at Velrus. That is why I came here. Maybe saving you will remind me why I became a soldier. Maybe it will give me a reason to keep going. Velrus saw the exhaustion in the young human's eyes, the trauma that no amount of training could hide. Hyunwoo was broken like all the humans, but he used his broken pieces to protect others. Thank you, Velrus said, for coming, for helping, for caring enough to be here when no one else would. Do not thank me yet, Hyunwoo said. This war is not over. The worst is still coming. Commander Taeho planned the major offensive with Captain Ji-hai. They would hit 3 Krethik strongholds simultaneously, forcing the enemy to fight on multiple fronts. It was aggressive, risky, exactly the kind of tactic that could win the war or lose everything. Estimated casualties? Taeho asked. 30% human forces, 40% Velen forces, acceptable losses for the strategic gain. Taeho looked at the numbers. Hundreds of soldiers would die. He knew many of them personally, but the alternative was a slow defeat that killed everyone. Execute the plan, he said. The offensive launched at dawn. Human and Velen forces struck together, using combined tactics. The Velens provided numbers and local knowledge. The humans provided experience and ruthless efficiency. It was brutal. It was costly. But it worked. Krethik positions fell one by one. Their forces, demoralized and afraid, could not coordinate effective defense. The swarm doctrine that had conquered dozens of systems failed against humans who refused to fight by conventional rules. By evening, Krethik forces were in full retreat. They broadcast emergency signals for evacuation. The Krethik swarm made its final calculation. They could not defeat humans militarily, but they could make victory so expensive that humans would abandon the Velens. They prepared weapons that would kill millions, hoping to break human resolve through sheer horror. They did not understand that humans had already decided the Velans would survive, no matter the cost. Commander Tejo stood in the command center looking at intelligence reports. The Krethik were preparing to deploy planet-killer weapons at 3 major population centers. Each weapon would vaporize everything within a 100-kilometer radius. "How long until they launch?" he asked. 6 hours, Captain Jihai reported. "We can intercept 2 of them. The third," she paused. "The third is too far away. We cannot reach it in time." General Torvain stared at the map. The 3 cities were marked in red. Each held over 2 million Velan civilians. "You are saying we must choose which city dies?" "Yes," Tejo said simply. "Cities 1 and 2 can be saved. City 3 cannot. That is the reality. There are 6 million people in City 3. Torvain's voice cracked. "How can you just accept that they will die?" "I do not accept it, I hate it. But reality does not care about our feelings." Tejo's voice remained steady, but Velrus saw the pain in his eyes. "We saved 12 million by losing 6 million. The mathematics is clear." High Counselor Nethera entered the command center. She had heard the discussion. "You have made this choice before," she said to Tejo. "Many times," he admitted. "It never gets easier. But I stopped letting difficulty prevent necessary decisions years ago." "How do you live with it?" "I remember every name, every face, every person I could not save. I carry them with me. And I keep making the choice because the alternative is everyone dies while I protect my conscience." Nethera looked at the map. 6 million of her people. She thought about easy choices and hard necessities. She thought about the weight humans carried. "Do it," she said quietly. "Save who you can save." The operation began immediately. 2 human strike teams deployed to intercept weapons at Cities 1 and 2. The mission was suicide. They would board Krethik weapon platforms, disable the weapons, and likely die before they could escape. Every human in both teams volunteered. Lieutenant Hyunwoo led one team. Sergeant Sunmi led the other. They knew they might not return. They went anyway. Hyunwoo's team hit the weapon platform hard and fast. Krethik defenders were ready this time. The fighting was brutal. Close quarters, no room for tactics or strategy. Just humans and Krethik killing each other in narrow corridors. Hyunwoo took a blade wound to his side. He kept fighting. His team pushed forward through sheer determination. They reached the weapon core with 5 minutes until launch. "Disable it," Hyunwoo shouted. His team's engineer worked frantically while others held the line. Sunmi's voice came over the radio. "Weapon 2 disabled, taking heavy casualties. Need immediate evac." "Weapon 1 disabled," Hyunwoo's engineer reported. "But the platform is set to self-destruct. We have 90 seconds, move," Hyunwoo ordered. His team ran for the extraction point. Krethik forces blocked the path. There was no time to fight through them. Hyunwoo made a decision. "You go, I will hold them." "Sir, you cannot, that is an order." "Go," his team evacuated. Hyunwoo stayed behind, firing at Krethik soldiers who tried to follow. He held for 80 seconds. Long enough. His team made it to the dropship. The platform exploded as they pulled away. Velrus watched from orbit, heart sinking. Lieutenant Hyunwoo was gone, but then a weak signal came through. "This is Hyunwoo, ejected in emergency pod, hurt bad. Need pickup." Dr. Yoonji mobilized immediately. "Get me his location now." The rescue took 3 hours. When they brought Hyunwoo in, he was barely alive. Multiple wounds, severe blood loss, toxin exposure. Yoonji worked with desperate intensity. She would not lose him. Could not lose him. 6 hours of surgery. Hyunwoo survived. Barely. Velrus found Yoonji afterward sitting outside the operating room. She was crying silently, her hands shaking. "You saved him," Velrus said. "I saved him this time," she said. "But how many times can we do this? How many times can we send them to die and barely pull them back? How many pieces of them can we repair before there is nothing left to repair?" She looked at her hands. Hands that had saved thousands. Hands that had also watched thousands die. This is what humans do. We break ourselves so others remain whole. But who saves us when we are broken? Who carries us when we cannot carry anymore? Velrus had no answer. City 3 died as predicted. 6 million Velans vaporized in an instant. The Velan people mourned. But 12 million in Cities 1 and 2 lived, because humans had been willing to make the terrible choice. General Torvain found Commander Tejo afterward. The human commander stood alone, looking at images of City 3 before its destruction. Families, children, elders, all gone. You saved twice as many as died, Torvain said. That does not make them less dead, Teho replied. I chose to let them die. I will carry that choice forever, along with all my other choices. The weight never gets lighter. You just get stronger at bearing it. Does it hurt? Torvani asked. Making these choices? Every single time. That is how I know I am still human. The day it stops hurting is the day I become a monster. Teho turned to face him. Remember that. When this is over, when you must lead your people, remember that command should hurt. It should cost you. If it becomes easy, if you stop feeling the weight, that is when you are lost. Torvain understood. Leadership was not about making correct decisions. It was about making necessary decisions and carrying the weight of what those decisions cost. The Krethik launched their final assault. They threw everything at the Velen homeworld. It was desperation now, not strategy. If they could not conquer, they would destroy. Commander Teho gathered his forces. The Krethik command ships are in orbit. If we destroy them, the swarm breaks. But reaching them requires sacrificing our fleet. Every ship, every human vessel goes in knowing they probably will not come back. How many will survive? Someone asked. Realistically? Maybe 20%, maybe less. Silence. Then every human captain volunteered. Every single one. Velrus could not comprehend it. You are choosing to die? We are choosing to complete the mission, Captain Jihai said. Dead Krethik cannot hurt Velens. The mathematics is simple. But your lives are worth spending if it saves yours, she said simply. That is what we decided when we came here. That is what we always decide. This is what humans do. The human fleet moved toward Krethik command vessels. It was not a battle. It was a sacrifice. Human ships tore through Krethik formations, taking terrible damage but never stopping. They fought wounded, crippled, dying. They fought because stopping was not an option. Teho led boarding teams onto Krethik command vessels personally. He would not ask soldiers to die for missions he was not willing to die for himself. The fighting was savage. Humans and Krethik killed each other in brutal close combat. Teho took a plasma hit to his chest, kept fighting. Another wound to his leg, kept fighting. He would not stop until the mission was complete or he was dead. His team reached the Krethik command center. They planted charges, set them to detonate. The Krethik commander looked at Teho with something like understanding in its alien eyes. You are Deathworld creatures, it clicked. You do not surrender. No, Teho said. We do not. The charges detonated. The command vessel broke apart. The Krethik swarm, without central coordination, panicked. Their forces scattered. The ones on the ground tried to evacuate. The ones in space fled into FTL without formation or order. The invasion was over. The Krethik were broken, but the cost was terrible. 68% of human forces were casualties. Hundreds dead. Hundreds more wounded. The Velen military lost 40% of their soldiers. But Velen civilians were safe. The species would survive. They pulled Commander Teho from the wreckage. He was badly wounded, barely conscious. Dr. Unji worked on him with fierce determination. He had saved everyone else. She would save him. He survived. Like Hyunwoo barely, but he survived. When Teho woke 3 days later, his first words were, "Casualty report." Captain Jihi, herself bandaged and limping, gave him the numbers. So many dead, so many wounded. He listened silently, his face showing nothing. But Velrus saw his hands grip the sheets, knuckles white. Velen civilian casualties? Teho asked. Minimal in the final assault. The population is secure. Teho closed his eyes. Then it was worth it. Was it? Jihai asked quietly. We lost so many. We saved 15 billion, Teho said. Lost 8,000 humans. The mathematics says yes. He opened his eyes, meeting hers. But mathematics does not know the names I will carry forever. Mathematics does not feel the weight. No, Jihai agreed. Only we do. That is what makes us human. Outside, the Velen homeworld celebrated liberation. Inside, humans held memorial services for their dead. They did not celebrate victory. They remembered the cost, because that was what humans did. They won wars, and they remembered everyone who died winning them. The Velen homeworld celebrated for 3 days. Cities that had been battlegrounds now filled with grateful survivors. But the humans did not join the celebrations. They held memorial services instead. Velrus found Sergeant Sunmi standing before a temporary wall covered in names. Hundreds of them. Every human who had died saving the Velans. We are celebrating, Velrus said carefully. Your people saved us. You should be proud. Pride is for people who did something extraordinary, Sunmi said quietly. We did what we always do, we fought. We bled, we died. That is ordinary for humans, Ona. How can you say that? You saved 15 billion lives, and lost 8,000 doing it. She touched one name on the wall. Private Quan, 20 years old. Died holding a position so civilians could evacuate. I knew him. He liked bad music and terrible jokes. Now he is just a name on a wall. She looked at Velrus. On Earth we have walls like this in every city. Covered with names. So many names we have run out of space. That is what humanity is. A species that remembers everyone we could not save. Velrus looked at the wall. 8,000 names. 8,000 lives. 8,000 families that would grieve forever. Does it help? Remembering them? No, Sunmi said. But we do it anyway, because forgetting them would be worse. They died for something. We honor that by carrying their memory. Dr. Yunji worked in the hospital training Velan medical staff. She taught them trauma care, triage protocols, how to make impossible decisions in crisis. A young Velan doctor named Terrell listened carefully. You have saved so many, Terrell said. But you still look so sad. Because I remember everyone I could not save, Yunji said. Every patient I had to choose not to treat. Every soldier who died while I worked on someone else. Every impossible decision, she paused. Humans have support systems for this, therapy, counseling, traditions for processing grief. Because we have needed them for 10,000 years. Will we need them too? Yes, war changes you. It breaks pieces of you that never fully heal. The best you can do is learn to carry the broken pieces. She met his eyes. That is why we teach you. Not just how to fight, how to heal from fighting. Because prevention is worth more than cure. We could not prevent our own breaking. But maybe we can help you heal from yours, Terrell understood. The humans were not just teaching warfare. They were teaching survival after warfare. They were giving Velans tools humans had paid thousands of years to develop. Thank you, he said sincerely. Do not thank us, Yunji said. Just use what we taught you. Build a better future. Make our sacrifice mean something. High Counselor Nethara addressed the Velan people in a broadcast that reached every surviving settlement. She stood before the council chambers still damaged from Krethic attacks. Today we celebrate liberation, she began. But I must tell you the truth about who saved us. Humans are not heroes. Heroes are people who do extraordinary things. Humans did ordinary things for them. The extraordinary part is that for humans, war is ordinary. She explained Earth, the endless conflicts, the weapons of mass destruction, the billions dead over millennia. The Velan people listened in horrified silence. Humans saved us, Nethara continued. But they did not do it because they are powerful. They did it because they are broken. They know what it is to lose everything. They cannot bear to watch others lose what they lost. Their heroism is not noble sacrifice. It is trauma response. They save us because they could not save themselves. She paused, looking directly at the cameras. We will honor their sacrifice by ensuring we never become what they became. We will build defenses, yes, but not at the cost of our compassion. We will remember that war is not ordinary. It should never become ordinary. One species of warriors is enough for this galaxy. Across Velan space, people wept, not just from relief, but from understanding. The humans had given them survival, and they had warned them never to pay the price humans had paid for that survival. Commander Tejo recovered slowly from his injuries. He spent his recovery time reviewing mission reports, writing condolence letters to families of fallen soldiers, planning the return to Earth. General Torvain visited him in the hospital. Stay, Torvain said. Help us build our defenses. Train our military. We need your knowledge. No, Tejo said firmly. Why not? You could save us again if the Krethic return. If I stay, you will become like us, Tejo explained. You will learn to think like humans, calculate like humans, fight like humans. I will not do that to you. I will not make you into killers. He met Torvain's eyes. One species of us is enough for this galaxy. We will teach you to defend yourselves, but we will not make you into Deathworld warriors. That price is too high. Torvain nodded slowly. You are protecting us from yourselves. Yes, because we know what we are, what we can become, and we will not inflict that on others. But what about you? What about your people? Tejo looked away. We are trying to change, trying to be better. Helping you was part of that. Maybe if we can save others, it means our experience was not wasted. Maybe we can find redemption in your survival. Redemption, Torvain repeated. You think you need redemption? We know we do. We have killed so many of our own kind, devastated our own world, created weapons that could end all life. We carry that guilt. Tejo's voice was quiet. Saving you does not erase what we have done, but maybe it gives us something worth carrying alongside the guilt. Something good to balance the horror. Captain Jihai prepared tactical databases and training protocols for the Velen military. General Torvain received them with careful hands, understanding their weight. These are how humans fight, Jihai explained. Study them. Understand them. But do not use them unless you have no choice. Because once you start fighting this way, you cannot go back. It changes you permanently. She paused. We know. We have been trying to stop for thousands of years. We cannot. You are warning us away from your own methods? Yes, they work. They are effective. But they cost pieces of your humanity. Every ruthless decision, every cold calculation, every civilian you let die to save others, it takes something from you. Eventually, you look in a mirror and do not recognize what you have become. She met his eyes. Learn from our experience. Do not make our mistakes. That is the real lesson we offer. Torvain accepted the databases. We will remember your warning. Good, Jihai said. Remember us. Remember what we did to save you. And remember we had to become broken to do it. Then make sure you never break like we broke. That is the only thanks we want. Liaison Officer Velris found Sergeant Sunmi before she departed. She was packing her equipment with practiced efficiency, preparing to leave. I wanted to say goodbye, Velris said, and thank you. For everything. You already thanked us enough, Sunmi said. Just survive. Build something good. Make sure our soldiers died for something worthwhile. They did. They saved 15 billion lives. I know the numbers, Sunmi said. She pulled something from her pack. Her rifle scope. Here, take this. I cannot accept that. It is yours, exactly. That is why you need to take it. She pressed it into his hands. This scope has been with me through 7 campaigns. It has saved my life dozens of times. Now I am giving it to you. Not as a weapon, as a reminder. A reminder of what? That war is not glorious. That every victory costs something. That weapons exist to cause pain, even when used to protect. She looked at him seriously. When your people start forgetting what we taught you, when they start thinking war might be acceptable again, you look at that scope. Remember what it represents. Remember what it cost us to become good at using it. Velris understood. The scope was a warning, a reminder of what humans had become and what Velens must avoid becoming. I will remember, he promised. Lieutenant Hyun Woo, still recovering from his wounds, broadcast a final message to Velen space. He stood in the human medical bay, bandages visible, speaking directly to cameras. I want to tell you about Earth, he said. Not what you read in files. The real Earth. We have been at war for 10,000 years. We have killed billions of our own kind. We have created weapons so terrible that using them would end all life. We have devastated our own world through conflict, he paused, gathering his thoughts. We are not your heroes. We are broken people trying to find meaning in our breaking. Every human here has lost everyone they loved. We carry names and faces that haunt us. We make decisions that cost pieces of our souls. His voice strengthened. But we came here anyway. We fought for you anyway. Because maybe, just maybe, if we can save you, it means we are more than our worst capabilities. Maybe it means our experience, all that death, all that suffering, taught us something worth knowing. Maybe we can find redemption by helping you survive what we survived. He looked directly at the camera. Remember us. Remember what we did. But more importantly, remember what we had to become to do it. Remember that we are trying to change, trying to be better. Helping you was part of that change. Do not let our sacrifice be wasted. Do not become what we became. Build something better. That is how you honor us. The message spread across Velen space, across the galaxy.